Welcome to the final episode of Series 80, everyone. This month we are covering romance games, but not just romance games, specifically duo or solo play romance games. Today we are covering a solo romance TTRPG called Airship Amour, a lesbian dating sim that takes place aboard a steampunk airship. But before we get to that, we do have some important calls to action coming up after the show. Here's what to expect. One of the folks on the One Shot Network is in need of some assistance in getting away from their family member who turns out to have been a Nazi sympathizer, which is just a lot of gross. But they do have a GoFundMe to do just that safely. They are about 84% as of this recording and could use a little bit more help to get up and running for the next few months. That is the most important and immediate need right now. There is also a Kickstarter still going on for a small game from the folks over at Roleplay Retcon. And on top of that, the folks over at System Mastery still have a brand new sticker book for sale. In addition to all of that, we will be having our normal patron information, as well as our patron thank yous after the show, including another new patron. All of this will also be in the show notes, so check it out if you are able to. With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone. Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and this month we are covering RPGs that have a romantic theme to them, but also are geared towards either duo or solo play. This week, we are continuing the solo train and finishing up the series with a game by Sylvie the Dragon Games called Airship Amour, a lesbian dating sim that takes place on a steampunk airship. Let's go ahead and get into this, and we will start by discussing what this game is all about.
What's in a game?
So what are the core concepts of Airship Amour? The game is, at its core, a dating sim that features romanceable characters who are sapphic and written with the intention to be lesbians. However, players can interpret the characters in any way that they like and do not need to be lesbians or women to enjoy the game. Players can go on dates with various crew members with the potential for multiple romantic outcomes based on the cards drawn. What sort of setting do you play in? In Airship Amour, you play in a steampunk airship setting aboard the L'Amour Soaring. This airship is a romantic and adventurous environment where you, as the newest crew member, interact with a colorful cast of fellow crew members. The setting combines elements of steampunk technology with a focus on exploration, engineering, navigation, and defense, creating a rich backdrop for your character's journey and romantic encounters. The airship travels through the skies, encountering various events and challenges that shape the narrative and your character's experience. So what sort of tools do we need to play this game? And what are the general rules that we're working with? So the game plays with a tarot deck as its main mechanic, specifically the 22 major arcana. You can use your own tarot deck, or there is a printable set of cards included with the game itself. The cards are used to determine daily events and outcomes, and each card drawn influences the narrative and the character's experience aboard the airship. So what kind of stories and themes is this game meant to explore? Of course, it is a dating sim, so romantic relationships is at the forefront of the gameplay. The game focuses on building those romantic connections with fellow crew members and exploring the dynamics of love and companionship in a steampunk airship setting. It's a game about self-discovery through the character creation and journaling. Players can explore their character's background traits and growth as they navigate life aboard the airship. You can do adventure and exploration. The setting of the Airship Amour soaring provides a backdrop for various adventures, from navigating the skies to dealing with unexpected events and challenges. It has themes of teamwork and camaraderie. You interact with the different crew members and work together to maintain and protect the airship, and that fosters a sense of community and teamwork. And of course, there is mystery and intrigue. You use the tarot cards to determine events, and that introduces elements of mystery and unpredictability, adding a depth to the narrative. So what do characters do in this game? There are daily events, like we mentioned. Each in-game day, players draw a tarot card to determine a daily event, and then they journal their characters' experiences and reactions to these events. You interact with crew members. You'll be able to meet with them and interact with a colorful cast of fellow crew members that are defined in the game. These interactions can lead to friendships, alliances, and even romantic relationships. You also go on dates. When the lover's card is drawn, it triggers a spontaneous date with one of the love interests. Players journal about these dates and the development of their romantic relationships. And you work in the stations on the ship. So characters perform tasks related to their assigned station, either navigation, engineering, or defense. And you'll work closely with other crew members to keep the airship running smoothly and safely. And each station, of course, has their own NPCs assigned to it. And those are the people you're going to be pretty much the closest with in the crew. It doesn't shut off any additional entanglements with others within the crew. It just makes it a bit easier in those areas. So what is unique about this game? In my research looking for games to cover for this series, I haven't found many that were straight up lesbian dating sims. Having all romanceable characters in the game being sapphic and written with the intention to be lesbians provides an avenue of lesbian representation in a solo game, and it allows players to explore diverse romantic dynamics. This, combined with the tarot mechanics, also rare for a solo romance TTRPG for some reason, makes for an interesting combo that is sure to stand out, especially once the game is finished. I should also point out that the game is still in development. It is playable at this point, but the date mechanics are still being fleshed out currently. As of the time of this recording, they are still not available, but it is looking really, really promising. So you get to make up your dates at this point. But aside from that, they've got all sorts of daily events and stuff like that. So the first release of the game happened at the start of February on this year on itch.io, and currently is playable without those date rules. I don't think there's any basic terms and concepts to go over before we actually dive into character creation. So I think we're just going to go right into it and see what happens here.
Let's make some people.
Okay, so the first thing that you need to do to embark on your romantic journey into the skies is decide who you will be. So this chapter of the book has inspiration for backgrounds and character traits that help shape your decisions as you journal your adventures. So you can come up with your own backstory and your own character traits if you want to, or simply choose from the list that they have. But I do love a good random character. So I'm going to go through this. Let's see. As a new hire aboard the Airship Amour soaring, you may choose or be assigned to a station as well, where you'll work closely with the two other crew members. So I think we're going to do backgrounds And let's see. Backgrounds and character traits. So I need a deck of the 21 major arcana. So let me get that real quick. Perfect. I do have my Sailor Moon tarot cards. This is the first time I get to actually use them. I'm just shuffling up the major arcana right now. Okay, so first one is going to be, ooh, that's fun. Death is my background. So looking towards here, death is number 13, lucky 13. This says, after suffering a great change in your life, what better way to create the new you than aboard the L'Amour Serein? Any role you choose will likely help you find the peace you desire. That's interesting. So background, death, perfect. Okay. So I wonder what that means for my character. It sounds like there was a great change in my life. It could be the death of a loved one. It could be, it could just be like a traumatic event or loss of a job or something. So lots of potential options there. Let's see what the character traits show. I want to put all the traits back in. So I'm going to give this another shuffle. I got the moon. Let's see what the moon translates to for character traits. The moon. Others are drawn to your secretive nature and mysterious aura. Oh, interesting. The moon. Okay, so I've got a secretive nature and mysterious aura. I wonder if the thing that happened to me is something that I don't like to talk about too much. What better way to create the new you than aboard the L'Amour Serein? Yeah, so I wonder if it was, I'm thinking it's gotta be like, I don't want it to be something too sad, but it's something that I want to avoid. What if, I mean, maybe sad is the way to go here. Death of a loved one, death of what I thought was my true love, taken away from me, you know, before our life could even really begin, right? So I'm gonna say, yeah, it was death of a loved one, and maybe that's what has me strive coming to this airship. Maybe it's you know, not only am I looking to change up my life, I'm also looking to change up my love life, right? But I don't like to talk about my past too much. And I'm very secretive about that. And I think it's just too painful bringing up my past true love. And I think it's going to kind of work in this character's favor to kind of spread their wings a bit on here. And I'm wondering if they're getting kind of like a sort of poly vibes from this experience of I had this true love. I couldn't at the time imagining loving anybody else in this world, but here I am starting to love others. And what does that mean? Does that effectively means that love is not finite. I can continue to love beyond the loss. And maybe there's an opening for, you know, whomever is able to share in that love. I think that sounds like an interesting potential storyline for this character. Okay, so having gotten my background and my traits, now I need to choose a station. So there are 3 stations to choose from. And each station has 2 other members of the crew that I will be working closely with. So these 2 lovely ladies will be your primary choices for your love interests. And you can go on dates with other crew members as well, but it's not quite as often as the crewmates in your station. So the stations are navigation, engineering, and defense. So I'm not 100% sure. Let's see what they have here for what the blurbs are for each place. So in the navigation room, you will assist cartographers such as Nia Hartford and astromancers like Sophia Chandran. Astromancers sounds really cool, actually. As they chart the stars as well as newly discovered islands, navigators must always know not only the ship's path ahead, but also be able to draw wisdom from where it has been. That sounds cool. The engineering bay, you will assist mechanics such as Birdie Cox and elementalists like Ryan Rian, something like that. It's 2 N's, Rivera, in keeping the ship's engines and mechanisms in working order. When something on the ship breaks or isn't functional to its highest potential, it's an engineer's job to fix it or upgrade it. Okay, very practical. And then as part of the defense team, you will assist armor technicians such as Shiko Takoda and monster hunters like Hannah Tanaka in keeping the ship safe. The defense team frequently runs drills to keep their women prepared to protect the ship from any dangers that may arise because they know how unpredictable the skies can be. I think between those 3, I really like the thought of astromancers, mages of the stars, effectively. I think I'm going to go navigation room. And that means Nia Hartford and Sophia Chandran are going to be my primary love interests in the game here. Okay, so now that I have my station, my background, and my character traits, I am able to see my first impressions. So in this chapter, each of the 6 love interests are described in detail. In addition to reading their descriptions to gain an impression of them, I get to draw a single card for each of them to determine their first impressions of you. So you can add additional details, etc., etc. But there are quite a few there. So in the navigation area, Nia Hartford is the cartographer. Nia is precise and detail-oriented with a quiet determination that drives her to perfect her maps. She has a love for exploration, but prefers to do so from the safety of the ship, letting others chase the unknown while she captures it on parchment. Though initially reserved, she's deeply passionate about storytelling, often weaving tales of lands she's never visited, but feels she knows intimately through her work. Her quirks are frequently sketches while talking, sometimes doodling people as maps, carrying an ink-stained handkerchief she uses to wipe her hands. And her romantic vibe is a slow burn romance where trust builds over shared conversations and glimpses into her creative soul. Interesting. And I'll only go over the 2 in the navigation and then go from there for the other 4. But Sophia Chandran is the astromancer. Personality is enigmatic and poetic, often speaking in metaphors tied to the stars. She has an ethereal charm and seems to carry a deep connection to the universe. But beneath that mystical demeanor lies a practical, focused mind honed by years of navigation. She's warm and nurturing to those close to her, but distant to strangers, like the stars themselves. Her quirks, always wears a constellation necklace she fidgets with when thinking, uses poetic metaphors inspired by her culture's mythology in her conversations. And her romantic vibe is a dreamy, almost otherworldly romance with moments of intense intimacy as she reveals her grounded, caring nature. That sounds good. So I need to draw a card for first impressions for each of these. So I think I'm just going to go through and we'll see kind of where these cards lie. Okay, so for Nia Hartford, I got the Hanged Man. Let's see what the Hanged Man is showing. You seem reflective and unconventional, as though you're willing to see things from angles others wouldn't consider. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, cool. Very, very cool. All right, and for Sophia, let's see what her impression of me is. Justice. Interesting. Okay, so Justice, it's number 11 on the list here. You feel balanced and fair, giving off the impression that you carefully weigh every situation to find the right course of action. Awesome. Okay, so that's Nia and Sophia. We also have, and I'll just go over the names here, Bertie Cox, the lead mechanic, and Ryan Rivera is the elementalist. So let's see what my relationship or my first impression with Bertie is. Judgment. Okay. So Judgment says, you feel like someone who seeks truth and clarity, often causing others to reflect on their own actions. Okay. It's really interesting seeing the reactions from these characters for your first impressions and how that effectively is building your character, which is kind of cool. Okay, and Ryan River got Death. You carry an air of transformation, as though meeting you signals the beginning of change in others' lives. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, she was the elementalist. Okay, and finally, the defense crew, Hannah Tanaka and Shiko Takoda. So what did we get for Hannah? The Hierophant. You seem calm and traditional, with a sense of order and understanding that suggests you follow a strong moral compass. Nice. And finally, for Shiko, the World. You give off a sense of completeness and fulfillment, as if you bring a little bit of everything to the table. Oh, that's lovely. Okay. So that is all 6 of the primary love interests on the ship here. What's really cool is they have little illustrations for each of them. They've got the personality, the quirks, and the romantic vibe of each of them, as well as their position on the ship, as well as the tarot card major arcana that is associated with them. So Nia was the Chariot, and Sophia was the Star. So that's really cool that everything's just kind of based around the tarot cards, which I would fully expect coming from a game that uses tarot cards as part of its mechanics. But really, that's it. That's character creation. That basically takes us to, I know the people there, and I know how they view me. I guess the only thing left, honestly, is a name. Oh, what's a good name for this person? I need a good steampunk name, so I'm going to go to a steampunk generator. Steampunk name generator. Let's see. It's going to be female. Give me 10 names. Sure. I don't know why they are highlighting the names on this website in different colors, but that's fine. I do like this name, Lucinda Maplelight. That's going to be my character's name, Lucinda Maplelight. Lucinda is the newcomer aboard the Leamore Soaring, and I am really excited about this character. They have a really interesting vibe. They've got that death that sent them here effectively, and I'm very secretive and mysterious about it. But I am reflective and unconventional. I see things from different angles that others don't generally, but I also feel balanced and fair. So I weigh the decisions in the situations to find the right course of action. I feel like someone who seeks truth and clarity. That kind of goes with balance as well, right? And that helps others to reflect on their own actions. I carry that air of transformation that goes along with my story. I'm here to find myself, to transform my life, as though meeting you signals the beginning of change in others' lives. So by my very nature of wanting to exist anew is transforming others, which is kind of cool. I'm very calm and traditional with a sense of order that makes sense. And understanding that suggests you follow a strong moral compass. So, yep, a very, very moral character that is in the midst of transformation. And I give a sense of completeness and fulfillment as if you bring a little bit of everything to the table. So it feels like this character is very welcome in this crew. And these people are very understanding of their brand new journey. This feels very promising for Lucinda to find a new life and possibly a new love. Interesting. I like this a lot. Okay, perfect. So that was character creation for Airship Amour. Let's go ahead and dive into our discussion segment.
D20 for your thoughts?
So we ask about the character sheets and what that tells us about the gameplay experience and whatnot before we even sit down, but there are no character sheets for this right now. But there is those character cards effectively for the different crew members, and you get a good sense of who each of those crew members are. Really, this is a journaling game through and through, utilizing the tarot cards to effectively give you one of 22 outcomes in any given draw, which is a really interesting way to keep the theme of the major arcana within each of the different potential outcomes on everything that you're basically doing in this game. So there's general outcomes and whatnot. So really it's very well presented in that way and pretty easy to kind of get into the character creation here. If there were a character sheet coming, I think things that I would love to see on it is places for your different background and traits and whatnot, but also first impressions for each of the main characters that you can romance, as well as any like relationship progression meters there. So we'll see kind of how that all works out. I'm very interested to see once this game gets more finished, if there is a sheet that will get released for it. How do we think character creation stacks up with other systems that we've played? I haven't had much experience with games that involve tarot cards. And it was interesting getting to go ahead and get the tarot card and to see kind of what that relates to. I admittedly don't know much about tarot. I do want to learn because I do really want to make my Miracle Romance tarot game sometime, which would have been very fitting for this series, honestly. And I think just going through this process really gave me a good indication of who this person was. I thought there was going to be very little that would tell me who my character was. But once we got to the first impressions, it was really cool to see how that fleshed out my character's personality. I don't know some of the other options. There are some negative options in here as well. but a lot of them have like an optimistic spin to them. So I don't know if there is any like truly negative potential outcomes for character traits and whatnot. So it might paint a rosier picture of any character that you make. But again, I have not read through all of them, and it could be interesting to have some major flaws or so that you would have to overcome. But barring that, I do love the tarot aspect and getting that integrated with the game. It's pretty neat. How would the story for this character play out? Goodness. Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm thinking that, gosh, I mean, all of these different characters are fantastic. And I can see almost any one of them being somebody who Lucinda would be kind of attached to. I do honestly think that Ryan Rivera would be a very interesting personality type to work with. They're playful and unpredictable. Lots of laughter and sweet, spontaneous moments. And that sounds really cool. But also, like, Sophia Chandran has that dreamy, otherworldly vibe, which is really cool. Nia has that slow burn romance, which is nice. Gosh, and really, if you can build up relationships with multiple individuals here, I think that would be probably the way to go. But then there's also the replayability factor. You could create a whole new character and romance a completely different person next time. So really, it's really hard to say. But I think out of all of them, probably my best chance would be with Sophia Chandran, who is that enigmatic and poetic person, very ethereal charm and whatnot. So I think that would be probably an interesting connection to help my character transition through her journey into this new life.
Take it up a level. Take it up a level.
And character advancement. There's really no real character advancement. It's a lot of storytelling. But like in the game itself, you have different events that can happen. And when you draw different outcomes and whatnot, there is also potential for, let's see here. So the random events, a single card event can be drawn once per in-game day, followed by 3 outcome cards. And the major events can only happen once per game after a major event occurs. Refer to the event listed under your station. So there are general outcomes, like if you drew the Fool, the situation takes an unexpected turn, leading to a surprising opportunity or sudden risk, and so on and so forth. But the events, like the Magician major event, a traveling magician offers to put on a free show for the crew of the Amour soaring. That sounds like an interesting date opportunity. But also the navigation, the team discovers a patch of sky with erratic magical currents, requiring quick thinking to harness them for an unexpected speed boost. And then for engineering for the Magician, an experimental engine enhancement briefly boosts the ship's speed, but requires careful monitoring to prevent overheating. And defense, an inventive crew member tests a new type of ammunition, producing unexpected but intriguing results during a practice session. So there's a lot. I mean, there's 22 different cards in here, right? And each of them has a major event, a navigation, engineering, and defense event. And you also have all of those general outcomes. And then eventually there will be date cards and outcomes and whatnot for that. That's what I'm really looking forward to see kind of how the romance progresses between the different characters. So If you want to get in on this, I know that they have the game up for sale right now through April, I believe. I should probably double check on that. Let's see. Yes, it is on sale currently until the end of April. So it's an introductory sale, and you can get the base game, and I assume you'll be able to get the updates as they come along. So definitely worth checking out, I think, at this point. 60% off currently, which is fantastic. But that's it. It's a relatively small game. It has a lot of potential for some really great storytelling. I really do like this game. I like how it kind of turned out. So that kind of wraps our series at this point. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on the final of our duo and solo romance RPG series of episodes. And in this episode, we covered Airship Amour by Sylvie the Dragon Games. If you like this, you can head on over to the itch page, and it will be there for you. And it is in our show notes. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And please join us next week as we cover a new game with Amelia. And we are interviewing Kelsey Dion, the creator of Shadow Dark. So absolutely tune in for that. Call to action.
Yeah, like that.
I really enjoyed this game and this series. It was really fun going through a lot of the smaller, like solo or duo games for the month of romance. It's really interesting seeing the differences between the different styles of games. And it was really cool covering a tarot-based game and a letter writing game and whatnot. I think Airship Amour has a lot of fantastic potential. I think those date cards are going to add a ton to the game. So I'm really interested to see what kind of comes out of that. Sylvie the Dragon Games, I'm sure, is busy working on that as we speak. But I really like how the character creation worked out in this. I thought it was going to be a little too simple at first, but I loved the concept for the game and I really wanted to cover it. And it turns out it was a lot more in depth than I thought it was going to be, which was a pleasant surprise. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode and this series. And I think from here on out, we will be more traditional with Amelia and I at the helm and interviewing the guests and all that other fun stuff as usual. It was just a weird couple of months as a lot of life stuff kind of piled up together. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for bearing with us. And before we let you go for the day, we still do have some calls to action. So first up, as mentioned before, a serious ask for assistance if you are able. Lex Olden from the Gamewoven podcast here on the One Shot Network is needing assistance to safely and comfortably move away from their father, who just recently came out as a Nazi sympathizer, and that does not sit well with any of us, Lex included. So Lex deserves to get on their feet in a safe space that is outside of their father's reach. Because of this, Lex has set up a GoFundMe campaign to help them survive for the next 4 months as they get on their feet. They do have a safe place to stay for now, but they do want to be able to pay for food and help around the areas that they are able to stay. So that GoFundMe is about 84% towards reaching that goal right now. So any help from you will be greatly appreciated. You can easily get to that GoFundMe campaign by heading to helplex.charactercreationcast.com. That's HELPLEX.charactercreationcast.com, and that will redirect you right to the GoFundMe page. Outside of that very important call to action, we do have a couple more, and they have to do with some fun TTRPG projects from others on the network. First, the folks at Roleplay Retcon are kickstarting a game called Flops, about making the movies that let you down with a deck of cards and cinematic superpowers. It looks like they took their experience making their show and condensed it down into a fun game to play at home. They are currently working their way through some great stretch goals, including more art and deluxe packaging, which is very exciting. The other fun project out there right now is that our friends Jef and Jon over at the System Mastery Podcast have put out another fun book called the Dungeon Meister RPG Sticker Book. They teamed up with illustrator Christy Ousley to put together a book of over 500 stickers related to all sorts of RPG fun. You can check out both of these projects from the links in our show notes. Finally, if you haven't checked out the Patreon or Discord yet, now is a phenomenal time to do so. We have over 19 stickers we'd love to send you at the $10 and up level. We have some custom C3 dice, as well as personalized thank you cards at the $5 and up level, as well as bonus chit-chat episodes and more at the $1 and up level, and even bonus outtakes and other periodic information for our free patrons, including potentially a future newsletter if we can ever get around to that again. You can check all of these out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast, or you could just join us for the discussion and the latest show announcements on our Discord at discord.charactercreationcast.com. In addition to all of that, we'd like to thank our current patrons every episode. Your support truly helps out a great deal, and we do have an extra patron to thank this time around. So let's go ahead and do that right now. First up, Lieutenant DJG, aka Tyrannosaurus, and Eric Bonds, thanks for helping us make this show. Daryl Holiday II, Shadim Cabal, and the Shyest Barbarian, you all rock. Thank you. Benjamin Sweeney, Rob Fletcher, and Kevin Brown, we're happy to have you here with us. Thank you. Tentacle Duck, John Adamus, and A3 Sketchpad, thanks for supporting our dreams. Thank you to Cole McCallum, Carlos Salazar, and Eric S. Your support brings us so much joy. Thanks to Ian Potmeyer, Liam G., and Brian Colm. We're really glad to have you here with us. Garden GM, Tanglefoot, and Blue Kryptonite, thanks for supporting our dreams. Danny, No Cold Trainer, and Liam Murray, you rock. Thank you. Kenny, Brian Kurtz, and Mark E. Fair, we can't thank you enough, but we'll keep on trying anyway. Drew Owen, Oz, and James McGinley, thanks for your continued support. And finally, brand new patron, Sean Metcalf, thanks for helping us make this show. We are so glad to have you here with us. And thank you to all of our future patrons. We are one step closer to financial stability with the show. Our Patreon currently doesn't quite cover our operating costs every month between the podcast costs and the Patreon rewards. So just one more campaign level patron or 2 side quest patrons will certainly get us there for now. But if you're able to chip in even a little bit, or even just sign up for the free tier to get exclusive updates, that would mean the world to us. And we'd love to thank you in the calls to action. Our community is full of some really welcoming people, and the patrons have been a huge part in making it a wonderful and safe place. So check it out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out if you're able. That's all that we have for today's episode and this month's series. Join us here next week where we'll be getting back to normal. That's right, Amelia's back, and we are covering a fantastic game called Shadow Dark with creator Kelsey Dion. Until then, take care everyone, stay safe, drink some water, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast. or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Boelter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Boelter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.